Hello friends, this is my YouTube channel IT Grow. You can watch it for a strongly fountain of information technology and promises you to give you conceptual knowledge in computer. Keep watching for latest videos. Time to time I will come with the latest video in computer. Thank you.
Video will try to look at some formatting features which are available in Excel. Now, a lot of the formatting things that you know in Word apply to Excel, but there are some special things in Excel because we are dealing with cells. So in this video, we'll talk about things like merge and center, wrapping text. We'll look at what's called conditional formatting. We'll also talk a little bit about format as table, inserting, deleting rows and columns, and also we'll talk about some other things. So the first thing, I've got some information here, and say this was my title, and I wanted my title to be put up here somewhere in the middle of this, not in the middle of this cell, which is this button here, which will center it, but only in this cell. So what I have to do is I have to first highlight up to here, or whatever cells I want to use to put in the middle of, and then I use this merge and center button. When I press it, it puts it in the middle. So now what it did, it actually merged the cells into one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cells got merged into one, and then the title is put in the center. And you can press the same button to turn it off. That means it goes back to the way it was, so I get access to all of my cells. I'll highlight it again, and I can hit merge and center. And you can highlight it up to any cells you want. Now here, January, February, March, I can highlight them. And what I want to do is I want to put them in a different angle. What I mean by that is this button here, which stands for orientation. So if I click it, and I can choose to put it clockwise. So it puts it in a slant direction. Or I can make it vertical text, so it stands up. Now when you want to change it back to the way things were, you'll have to click here again, and I have to click on the same button that is turned on, and you'll see there is like a color on it a little bit. So that tells me this is on, so I press it, so it goes back. So you can click here, and you can say make it rotate text down, so it will be like this, and you can turn it off. Now if you ever want it, you could click here, and you can go to Format Cell Alignment, and a window will pop up in which I can add more angles. So this here on the right hand side, this red dot, I can take it and I can move it at a different angle, and I can click OK. So now it's at that angle, and I can come here, go back, and I can bring it back to 0. So it becomes like that. So this is called orientation. I can highlight these numbers, and I can hit the dollar sign, which I'll talk about in the previous video. So when I put the dollar sign, you see the negative numbers show up in the bracket because it put the accounting format. Now while it is highlighted, I could click here again, and I can make it general so that it goes back to the way it was. Now the terms of highlighting, when I highlight it like this, it only affects this. But if I click on number 3, it means everything all the way to the end is highlighted now. So if I put the dollar sign, now everything is affected on that row 3. Now if you wanted to make some more changes, say I wanted to make the negative numbers to show up in red. To do that, you can go from number more while it is highlighted, because you gotta have something highlighted, or you can right click on the highlighted material and then you go to format cells. So either way, you'll come to this window. In the number, I'm looking for currency, and in the currency I can choose how many negative numbers I want, or how I want my negative numbers to show up. So I can say show it in red and bracket. I can also choose the decimal places, and I click OK. So now you see the negative numbers will show up like that. Now if I click here and I put a negative 100 and I hit enter, should have changed. Now that's changed. That it's strange that it didn't change. It should have changed. I'm thinking there's something going on with my recording program is affecting affecting it because if I pause my recording program and I'll come back to it, it starts to show up. So you can check it at home and see what happens. I think it should have changed because I've set the format to the whole section here. So I'm just going to do it one more time. So it changes, and let's put minus 50, and I'll use this check mark here. Yeah, for some reason it's not changing. So I'm just going to pause the video. Yeah. As soon as I paused the video and I came back, the color changed. So I'm thinking it's something that my recording program and the Office 2013 are having some issues with each other, but you should be able to see this when you do this. So that's the options to set your currency, and in fact you can set for things anything that you wanted. You can set something for date, so you can show dates in different ways, and there are other options like in special you see telephone numbers. So I'll show you the telephone number here. So maybe up here, say I wanted to type people's telephone number. So say I just highlight this for now, and I'll go to number more. This symbol stands for more, special, and I choose phone number and I click OK. So now when I type a telephone number here, 416123456 and I hit enter or tab, and I think I'll have to pause the video and come back. Yeah, as soon as I paused the video and I came back to it, it changed. So this is the way telephone numbers will show up, so that I don't have to put the brackets and the hyphen. It's automatically there. And the same way the numbers will also work for dates. Next thing I want to talk about is this wrap text option. So what I want to do is in this cell A5, I have typed this first name and last name. Now I don't want to extend the column, which is from here I can extend the column, but I don't want to do that. But I want to make it so that first name is on the top and last name is underneath it in the same cell. To do this, I click on the cell, or I can click on number 5 so that it highlights the whole row, and I use the wrap text option. As soon as I do it, you see it will wrap it, and now I can reduce the row height. Okay. So that's the idea of wrap text. Now if I type my first and last name, it won't do the wrap text because the information is fitting in the cell, because it needs to be, so I need to reduce the column width so that the wrap text will work. Okay. So you see there, as soon as I reduce the column width, the wrap text word. This pound symbol means now this number doesn't fit in that cell, so I'll have to extend it to make it fit. So that's what the pound error means. It means that the information is not fitting in the cell, so you need to extend the column. So you can extend the column from there, or you can click here and then you can go to format column width, and then you can type a number in there, 15, or I can make it 12. So now it is smaller. You can even highlight multiple columns like this. So from the top, you go to B, left click and hold it, and you highlight. So all the columns are highlighted. Or you click on B, hold the control button down on the keyboard, and then click on D, and then click on F. So only these columns will be affected by using format column width. Or I can click on row 1, hold the control, click on row 4th, then I can go to format row height, and I can type a number to affect only those 2 rows. Or I can highlight multiple rows. So I point to one, left click and hold it and drag. Now I can highlight and go to format row height and affect all of these row heights. So I can type a number in there, 12. So they all are size 12. Or I can say auto fit, and it will do it like this. And you can always manually change things. So that's the options for wrapping, and also how to adjust your column width and row height. Now I'm going to show you this thing called shrink to cell. To get to it, you can right click and go to format cells, or you can go to alignment more button, and in here you want to choose in the alignment section shrink to fit. And if I click OK, now whatever is typed in that cell is shrunk. So if you had a lot of words, it will just get shrunk a lot. The next thing we'll talk about is the borders button. In the previous video, I talked to you about in the page layout something called grid line. So I'm going to go to the page layout tab, and there was this grid line option. That is, when I go to my print preview, so I'm going to go to print preview from here, which I had added through this button, and then chose print preview. So I have a shortcut here. So this print preview, I don't have any lines on it. So in this corner here, if I want, I can go to this page setup, and then from the sheet I can choose grid lines, and I click OK, and you see it puts a dotted line around it. Okay, so I'm just going to come back, and that grid line is that check mark next to print. So you can do it from here too. I'll just remove it because I want to show you how you can put the borders, because borders are solid lines. So I'll come to home. So say if I highlight all of this information, and I can go to the drop down button for borders, and then I can choose all borders. So there it is, it shows me that, and I'll go to print preview, and you can see right there it's a thick line, which is a border. I'll come back. Now if you wanted, you could actually highlight it, and you can go to drop down button for borders, and then more borders. Now you can choose the style of the borders, and I can also choose the colors, and I can make it outline and inside, because sometimes they don't get showed up here, so you need to press it, and I click OK. Now it's got that kind of a border. I can always highlight it, and I can go back to the borders drop down button and then choose no borders. So you have the options to make font changes from here, like fonts and sizes. You can do all of those changes up here.
Thank you. Thanks for watching my videos. And if you like this video, please